Alright guys, so I'm here at High Tatras mountains. I'm about 2000 meters in 2000 meters altitude, and its conditions are pretty okay. I mean, it's sunny mostly, some clouds, beautiful views. It's all nice. I hope there won't be falling any stones from upside. We will see, because this can happen. Yeah, but I hope I will be lucky. So I'm a bit tripping, here, because the air is very, thin. The air is thin. It's also funny, kind of funny. So I think it's time for us, for Educated Truth Seeker, to make a new video, because we are learning in a funny way. I haven't been posting for some time, but it's okay, because you cannot be at the same time productive and creative. It's absolutely okay. So I was reading some ancient sacred texts like Ramayana and other Indian texts, also about Prophet Enoch. I think everybody should read this sacred text. The fact that they are not taught in school, it's very disturbing for us, because people are learning so much bullshit in schools, and this is the true history, but they seems to ignore it if it's not from your region. For example, in our school, when you haven't any information on Ramayana, something like that. So this is something that everybody should read, in my opinion, and then they can post about it, about our megalithic history and ancient things. Without that, you're just you don't have the information, you don't have the facts. You have just the monuments, which are pretty big, but that's only one part of it, because our ancestors recorded the truth. It's not the fairy tales. They have better things to do than just record fairy tales, and the Ramayana is pretty long. People who think that this is all made up, well, these people, you can tell them basically whatever, and they will probably believe that story. So I'm not pointing on these people. I'm pointing on people with open mind and maybe EQ around 100. But hey guys, if you feel you have like 60, 70 or something like that, feel free to join Educated Truth Seeker anyway. No problem. Just don't post stupid things, You can post stupid things. Okay. So I was reading this ancient text, and for example, Enoch, prophet, is writing about pillars of heaven. What can it be, the pillars of heaven? What can it be? I think maybe this will be the better way. I'm missing this selfie stick, so I'll try to do it like this. I need to watch my trail. I don't really want to fall down, No. I have a lot of time, but I need to go back. So right now I'm going horizontally because it's a beautiful view. Beautiful view. So, for example, these stones are basically what's the name in English? Granite. You know, this is granite. You can see it's a bit too reddish color. That's the oxide from iron, you know, oxides, and there are different types of granite. But actually, it's a very hard material, extremely hard material. So also the sarcophagus is in Egypt. In Egypt, they are made of granite for some reason. But I would like to talk about Enoch, and we can talk about Ramayana as well. So what are he's writing about the pillars of heaven, and I would like to tell you about this at first. What are the pillars of heaven? Why would somebody call something a pillar of heaven? What is a pillar? Pillar is something that is holding something in some place, some position, some altitude. So it's bearing the vertical force mainly, and something what does this is called pillar. What is holding the heaven? What kind of pillar could be holding the heaven? What is a heaven? Heaven in the time of Enoch was angels, chariots of gods, orbiters that were harvesting energy. You must understand, if there was a advanced society, they would really do this. What are humans doing when they go to another planet like Mars? First they orbit it. Orbiting planet. Not so many people there. There are not like 1,000 people there. Just a few people. So, and this was the heaven, you know. Enoch is writing about this. He was taken to the heaven. Angels were explaining to him things. Whatever he wants, he could ask, and the angels, they would answer. You can see there are some people also a bit higher there. Maybe you can see that. And I'm really hoping that they will not cause some avalanche of stones. Fuck! I don't want to do that. I don't want to hide in front of avalanche of stones. Alright. So back to the pillars of heaven. Pillars of heaven. So heaven. And what force possibly can hold these chariots, these gods, these angels, all these things? Because they didn't have wings, you know, like you can see in fairy tales. These are the symbols that are this advanced society, advanced civilization is trying to explain you. It's like teaching the kids. When you are teaching your young kids, you use something to compare something to another thing that is similar. And in past, this was in history, also in Egypt, this higher civilization were putting some knowledge. In Egypt it was Imhotep. I think it was the first, he was considered the first architect, and in my another video you can find about him. But these things were also in another parts of the world. And Enoch, fuck, this is so thin, I have to stop talking. Yeah, yeah. So the Enoch was also taken to heaven, and he knows what was the heaven, and he is explaining the pillars of heaven. So these were the ancient orbits and the electromagnetic power, also gravitational force. But these were the pillars of heaven, and these orbits are described. They are described in my another video. Just a moment. Guys, it's getting cloudy, and I have a long journey in front of me, so I gotta keep going. I ate some bread, but I have a really long trail to go, so I'll keep moving, no problem. So that was the pillars of heaven, and another thing is, for example, Ramayana, where it's Ramayana is written in very precise way, very precise way, and there is no. It's written in. It's also it's written there that it was written to not confuse the readers. So it's written exactly, and only one explanation would be true. So there are still people who think that's all made up and just a story about some guys fighting about a girl, which is very romantic, but it's definitely not the truth. But so you gotta be very stupid when you think this is all made up. All right. So. All right. So it's like when you find telephone, the book with the telephone numbers. You know, there used to be such books, and somebody would tell it's all made up. It just somebody was writing down the numbers and the names. It's because Ramayana is very long. Like it looks more like a description of war than some story. It's actually is, of course, it's a description of the war. And just read it. Just read it. Read the Ramayana. Don't be lazy. I mean, it can take you a long time, maybe 1 year. Then you can read Mahabharata and other texts. But this will have, even if you at first won't understand, and you will be confused. After, if you put it in the context of ancient orbits, ancient gods, orbiters. We have some sun. We have some beautiful sun coming out of the clouds, which I like. It's good when I'm talking. I think my battery will go out in some time, but it's good for the bear to repel. You know, if you don't want to meet a bear in the mountains, in Tatras or wherever, you have to be loud and maybe have some drink. So I need to talk about these ancient texts to survive. Well, What is it about the Ramayana? I mean, when I first read Ramayana, I was confused and I was really skeptic. But when the more I was reading, the more I was feeling, guys. I started reading at the end, the Book of War, because Ramayana is divided into, I think, 7 books, 6 or 7 books, I don't know. Now, and one of them, the last one, is I think the Book of War, when they focus on a war between Rama and Ravana, which captured Seta and held it captured for sometimes. Hello. So this was the story, and you should definitely read it. And you will see there. You can start like me, the Book of War, which is very interesting. I was like, okay, let's start with the Book of War. It will be some fun, some action. And then I can feel, guys, that you can see this changing, the environment. You can see there are not so many big stones. I'm going a little bit down. So you can see this small trees are starting to be more all around, but still the big trees are still lower, a couple of 100 meters lower. So back to Ramayana. I mean, it's not out of the context, I'm here on the mountains, and these mountains are also mentioned in Ramayana. Of course, it's Himalaya mountains, and you should definitely read my paper about which is called Divine Origins of Ancient Egyptian Sacred Symbolics and Architecture in its Global Concept. Yeah, that's the name. On academia.com, just Google it and read it before Ramayana, and then you will understand Ramayana. Just when you see the world arrow, because it's a book of war. We are talking about a book of war, where Rama with his companions and friends, brothers, are with Hanuman, monkey leader of monkeys, are fighting bad Ravana, demon Ravana. So they are using arrows. I mean, please read the book of war and read about the war. They are using which guns they are using, and you will find that they are using guns like with arrows. Actually, just switch it for electromagnetic pulses, strong electromagnetic pulses, and everything will be absolutely okay. You will understand everything. There is very precise description how this battle was working, and it's absolutely in correlation with the ancient orbits theory. So also they were able to change the not only electromagnetic force but also gravitational waves, and in some point of the war it's written that a lot of monkeys were flying, and then the bad guys, I don't remember if it was the Kubera or which one, the bad guys were, somebody's following me, the bad guys to be more fast. The bad guys were using this gun, and suddenly the monkeys dispersed to all directions. Well, for me this is fields, electromagnetic fields and gravitational force. But you still can't believe it's a fairy tale of flying monkeys. But you are stupid, you know? So stupid. But I believe you don't believe in fairy tales. So don't forget it's thin air here, you know. It's very thin air, and I can be tripping a little bit. But really I can feel it. I had some problems with this, and I need to make stop after some time, but it's okay now, you know, I hope. You will see it probably on the camera when I would fall down, so it's okay. So, the Kubera and other bad demons which were on Sri Lanka, there's mentioned Sri Lanka, and the building of the bridge, and still some people believe it's a fairy tale. So, my fellow Hindus, thank you for storing and protecting this ancient sacred text. You can see, really, stay Hindus, guys. Stay Hindus. Don't change anything. You have the best source information. You have just to put the in a correct light. Put it in a correct light. It wasn't It wasn't arrows. It was electromagnetic force, and everything they will understand. So what's the problem? What's the problem accepting this point of view? Well, not a problem for me. If you are into the truth, you should be all your life. You should feel that it's not really it's not everything like they say, historians and, you know, the academians, the bullshit, you know, they produce. Zahihavas. You know, it's a really after this war, you know, some demons flew away. We don't know where they are. They're probably still on this planet. There are bad forces, there are good forces. Read the Enoch. There is Lord of Spirit who controls what happens to your soul when you die, basically. It's getting hot here. So for me this is like absolutely understandable. Ancient war between good and bad, you know. History is written by winners, and Rama won probably. So, but there were also some demons who betrayed Ravana, the bad guy, and come to help Rama. Okay, Ramayana. Long story short. Ramayana. Long story short. Ramayana. Long story short. I'm going close to the bigger trees. You can see the sea of the stones. And for me this is symbolical, talking to you about this thing. About the mountains, you know, there were also sacred mountains for Hindus. And going down, when you were orbiting Earth, and you know, for you to go down, for you the most inexpensive way would be to land on the mountain top, probably. For example, Machu Picchu. But Machu Picchu was a very famous point on this ancient orbit stuff. Okay, I wanted to tell you about Ramayana. Long story short, there is a orbiting gods. Okay, can you hear this? Can you hear this? These small creatures. I don't know. Oh, he hide. Actually, this trail is named after this small creatures that are called svišť in Slovak language. So it's like kind of I don't know. You have to find out what is svišť. S-V-I-S-T. Yeah, find it out. Find out this creature. This can be actually a bird. I don't know. I'm not sure. Bird, but there were also special. I don't know. Maybe it's not svišť. Guys, forget about svišť. Let's go back to Ramayana. So there is this guy, bad guy Ravana, and he captures Sita, the wife of Rama, Prince Rama, which should be coronated, you know. But you have to go to exile. So he stole this Sita, and in some texts there you can see that they confuse the gods with orbiters. This is also similar to King's List from Sumerian King List, which consists of where it's written that some kings ruled for I don't know how many thousand years, which are the orbiting periods of these orbiters, because they confused the god with these orbiters that were giving power to the humans, which act like gods. Without these orbiters, there are no gods. There are no gods now, because there are no orbiters. There we have one. We have the moon. And in my opinion, moon is of course artificial. Maybe there is a lot of. It's a technical device which is helping our planet to be safe. We wouldn't be able to live on the moon without the moon. I don't want to go deep into the details. So the Sita was also the orbiter. Maybe she was a pilot of this orbiter. And they captured him. Fuck. I need to make stop. Indicates that I'm going down. Battery is very low, so it will turn off soon. I will switch to the phone maybe. So this is Ramayana. He captured Sita, that was like wife of Rama. Well, wife should be your, match, your something that fulfills you to the perfect one, something that is missing from the perfect one. And maybe it is something like the poles of the magnet, plus minus, who knows. I had this, I believe this was the point, and it's exactly written there in Ramayana that some wise guys were giving advice to Ravana, the bad guy Ravana, that he don't understand, because when he captured Seta and he just hold it, Seta stopped rotating around, orbiting around the world, and he captured her somewhere over Lanka, and that means that she was not charged from particles probably anymore. And this is what exactly is written in Ramayana, the advice to bad guy Ravana about he should release captured Seta, and you can see they say the celestials and celestial musicians, they call it, because they were resonating, and the celestial musicians were also orbiting, and they saw this, and they were watching this. So then so they were watching this as well, and there were people who were advising to Ravana to release Seta because they were afraid of some consequences from maybe celestials, and they were speaking of another god. So God, almost fell down. So here's the small, so the first tall tree, maybe you know